All right, welcome to the impressions video of the week. Um, Third video for the evening. It's always awkward when we got one of these. It kind of disrupts the flow I got going, but regardless, up this time is Compass of Destiny, Istanbul. Discover the 17th century Ottoman Empire, its mysteries and real historical events. Draw the path of your destiny with the guidance of the compass that will open the way to Firat. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right, but I make no guarantees. Anyway, play as a Venetian in the 17th century Ottoman Empire and face the darkness of his past. Try to solve the problems in your past and deal with the impossibilities of your future. Customize your hero, choose wisely in challenges, and solve mysteries of the compass in your quests for adventures and the truth. Like, right. So this game was assigned to the Golics. So over to him for the details.
So this game is trying to be a primarily top-down action RPG with historical elements. I don't think it really succeeds that much at that, although frankly, I did not get very far in this because there is jank. It has allegedly both WASD and controller controls, but neither one is amazing. Primarily, it does have story, normal, and difficulties, and you can choose intelligence, strength, and speed based character build paths, I think is what that's leading up to. But ultimately, it's mostly you get melee weapons and ranged weapons, mostly bows. You have normal attacks and charged attacks with those. There are normal enemies, there are enemies that have ranged attacks, and there are mad enemies which just keep attacking over and over, and you have to give them a lot of space. Generally, the best method seems to be backing off to either charge off an attack or wait for after an enemy attacks, move in, attack, and go back. You have to click on the enemy pretty accurately. I was missing sometimes. And I think weapon ranges are not horribly obvious sometimes for the melee weapons. The two things that really bothered me on this are... So you move around and you have a decent speed, but you have to right-click and hold and move to basically right-click and drag to change the camera angle with the controller. You do use the other stick with the keyboard with the controller if I remember, but and the click and drag camera control is reversed. It is inverted. So if you click and drag to the right instead of the common sense thing of like keeping your controller on the point that you clicked on, it turns to the right, so the point that you clicked on moves to the left. And also, in this this particular point of view with not exactly amazing camera controls, there are jumping puzzles, especially early on in the tutorial and sometimes when you're in the weird between zone. Also, when you die, you have the choice to continue in the realm of the living and lose souls, or continue in the realm of the dead and retain souls. I assume this is supposed to be Dark Souls-like, but I wasn't sure if I was getting any souls, and I have read at least one review that says that keeping the souls when you go into the realm of the dead doesn't work anyway. Also, while this game has several text languages, including Arabic, Chinese, and an assortment of European ones plus English, the spoken language and the native language of the game, I believe, is Turkish, which neat fits with the setting, probably is the company that made it. Let me double check on that. I don't know, maybe they're M11 Studio. Looks like it's in New Zealand. Or what? No, also in Turkey, so. Anyway, so you're not going to be getting, unless you speak Turkish, you're not going to be understanding all of the voice lines perfectly. A lot of the narrative seems to be conveyed by there are these weird mirrors that you walk up to and you inspect them and you see a scene of characters that were in that place previously doing a thing, which is neat, I guess. But I felt like there wasn't a whole lot of context, especially relatively early on, which I understand the idea of leaving some mystery to draw the viewer in, but I feel like they may have overdone that. Also, I could have skipped the tutorial or the introduction thing, but if I did that, I feel like I would not have known how to play the game. Because even with the tutorial, it took me a while to figure out what the dodge button was. Which, for the record, it's Alt when you're using the keyboard. Which is also like the run button or the jump button, depending on whether you're in... Well, when you're not in combat mode, I think space is jump and Alt is run. And when you're in combat mode, I had a hard time telling when I was and wasn't in combat mode sometimes, because you can attack and go into combat mode accidentally, temporarily, pretty easily. There's a button for switching modes, but you have to be like paying attention to that. And some of this may be standard for some of this kind of game. I don't know if Alt is usually used as a traversal thing, but it's a little bit difficult to move with WASD and tumble with Alt, for me at least. And again, some of the the mad enemies particularly are very aggressive, so it's you need to actually do that. So yeah, and there is a character creator where you start the game. You get to choose some of your character's features. It's fairly limited. You have very few hairstyles, a slightly larger number of beard / mustache styles, color for those, your hair, facial hair, eyebrows, and eyes, a few different skin tones, which do at least include pretty dark colors, because I know that some games don't do that, but and then you get clothes eventually, but you do not start out with much in the way of clothing. I feel like I couldn't maintain interest / desire in playing this game long enough to get to the point where the allegedly interesting stuff would happen because of the controls being jank not exactly getting what was going on. The tutorial pop-ups stay on screen for way too long, and you have to press the T button, I think, to get them to go away. But if you hold it, it doesn't work, so you have to tap it. It didn't control well to me. Hopefully this will be refined some by the time it's finally released, but I would not wager a large amount of money on that, unfortunately, because I think having a game set in the 17th century Ottoman Empire is a pretty cool idea. And the settings have a lot of options for audio and video stuff. But I really had to use some of those because when I first played, I forget what setting. There was one setting that kind of fixed it, but I ended up turning it down to medium because I was getting some nasty chromatic aberration anywhere away from like the middle third or quarter of the image. And when I was playing, I noticed that there was a frame rate monitor in the corner of the screen, and it was never above 30, I don't think. Which I know it was frequently around 20, which I know many people will find downright unacceptable. I'm personally not sensitive to that, but I thought I would mention it. Do you guys have any questions or comments?
No.
No, I think I'm good.
Oh, and also you can see that there is some discrepancy on whether it is Compass of Destiny or Compass of the Destiny. I suspect this has some basis on the studio that made it not being English speaking and not being 100% sure which one was correct. So hopefully it will shift more to Compass of Destiny over time, and they fix the kerning on their logo at some point.
Anyway,
sorry. I like the idea here. I think that if the controls were better, some of it would probably I would have enjoyed it more if I'd spent more of the time trying to use the controller. But that was not the primary thing, and none of the tooltips really featured controller inputs. So I didn't. Maybe if I had switched to a controller, more of those would have shown up, but I was having some trouble with the menus with the controller. Anyway, I hope this game gets to be good, but right now it's pretty janky for that.
Anyway, so in terms of pricing, this game is currently $14.99. According to the early access notes, there are no plans to change the price. Though I'll also note that this is the developer is unsure how long this game is going to be in early access. And apparently the core experience is in the game already.
Yeah. I'd probably feel better about 10 than 15. But like, if you want to play a Turkish game and you're okay with the jank controls, it seems like there's probably a decent amount in it, and there are like different playthroughs and different builds and playthroughs for people who want to try different character builds on different playthroughs.
Duly
So
noted.
like volume wise, I don't think 15 is like wrong. It's just the current quality is just, it doesn't feel like it's there to me.
Anything else?
I think that's all I have to say.
Okay. So yeah, I'll do it for Compass of Destiny here. Be sure to tune in after the break as we review Through Blocks.